Behind every brand, every movement, every leader, every transformation, there's a story. And intertwined in these stories is a message. And this podcast is for you, the next gen leader, coach, entrepreneur, and influencer. My name is Travis Brady, and I'm a branding mentor and sales story strategist. I hope you see me more of a guide than a host as I share the stories behind the brands, so you can take these stories, experiences, principles, and teachings and use them to share your story with the world. And what is up, Brand X Leader? We got another incredible episode with you here today. We got Larry Smith. He's a sports and life performance coach. Been in the game for 16 years. For those that know their stuff, he has the CSCS, which is a Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist. I've taken that test. It is one beast of a test. Probably one of the hardest tests I've taken. Has a degree, works with professional athletes. He was on the documentary Receivers with Deebo Samuel, and also worked with the late great Muhammad Ali later in his life. Larry, thanks for coming on, bro. He's also spoke at one of our events, Strengthen Your World. Good to have you on the podcast, man. Filling the gaps about you.
Travis, thanks for having me, man. It's an honor to be on your show today, man. And I appreciate the warm welcome that you gave me for sure. So thanks there, man. And that's me. You did. I received everything you said.
Yeah. Fill in the gaps. Tell us a little bit about your background and what got you into the fitness world.
The fitness world per se, it's crazy because as life went on in college, you never knew what you wanted to be. You start out, everyone starts out with this, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a policeman, but we don't know what that looks like. So when I got to college, I had a cousin he was a computer science guy. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll go into computer engineering, And so I got into computer science first, and I love the science aspect of things. And then from now once I got to my 4 year college, and I got introduced to kinesiology and the study of the human body. I love that, which I was always training myself and pushing myself as an athlete. And I never had that sports performance coach. So learning, how to push myself and developing my own program is really what got me into wanting to be a sports performance coach. It was like my last year of school at East Central University where I graduated.
Nice, man. You've been doing it for a while now, 16 years. Obviously love it. What do you love most about it?
Man, I love changing people's lives. Bottom line, I love results. I fall in love with results. A lot of people, the money comes, but the results are here to stay. What I mean, when I see people get those results, they're happy. They want more. They want everything in their life changes. And so, being able to see people get results and performing in from all walks of life, from whether as an athlete, whether as an entrepreneur, whether as a high school student, a college student that's just looking for more in life. Once they see results on the physical side of things, then they'll receive results in their entire life. And it starts with the physical because that's what triggers the mind to kind of just keep, to go further and further. By releasing those endorphins, strengthen your body, strengthen your mind, strengthen your soul, strengthen your spirit, and therefore take off.
Love it. You were able to spend some time with Muhammad Ali in his later in his life. What did you learn being around him?
That greatness is from within.
Mhm.
Greatness carries what he carried was without saying that he was great, you felt the greatness in his presence. So
Mhm.
greatness has the presence that's within that when you walk around people like yourself who have greatness in them, you don't have to say you're great. It's inside of you. And so that's what it's spread through your spirit and through your actions and through your walk. And that's one thing with him not being able, not, the way that we work together, with him not being able to speak
Mhm.
and pass that spirit and that greatness along with his presence,
Mhm.
it it spoke volumes to me. And I was with him probably 5 days a week, 4 to 5 days a week, from from January all the way to June when he passed away. So it was a very 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 like it was a moment that I'll never forget, and I took it all in. I
Oh,
took
absolutely.
every second of his presence to learn and to think different.
Yeah.
Seriously, so I can go on and on about that because it was a lot that was passed through the spirit. It was a lot that was passed through his presence. It was a lot that was passed through his push,
Mhm.
and his push when he thought he didn't have any push. Man, we have push left. It's just about somebody that connected with another great, like you and I are both connected today, bringing
Mhm.
that greatness out of me to help bring that greatness out of you is how he was when he connected with me during that time. Like, and I was able to bring that greatness out of him in a way where words, he understood the words, he understood the energy, he understood the spirit, and he
Mhm.
understood that it was time to go. And so it was just like training for him. It felt like it felt like another fight for him, every day.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah, I can only imagine being around a legend. I mean, some consider him the GOAT in boxing. I think it's hard to label a GOAT, but he has to be in the conversation for sure, if you're asking me. So,
absolutely. I mean, when
yeah.
it comes to being the GOAT, look at everything he's done in the world, not just boxing. You
Yeah.
know, not just boxing.
Yeah.
His weight was carried in several different aspects of life,
hmm
and what he stood for was change, and
hmm
that's one thing that he demanded, and he got that change that he required, just by his presence and his the way he talked and his confidence, knowing who he was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. He was confident. That's for sure.
that man, confident all day long.
I'm so
Some
quick,
call
I'll
it.
handcuff lightning.
Hey, some call it cocky. Others that understand call it confidence.
He from my perspective, he didn't really say it in a cocky way. It was more of a funny, lighthearted way, but he believed it and he showed it,
Always,
more importantly,
always.
that. Yeah, that's what a great opportunity as a trainer. How long ago was that?
That was 2016.
2016. Okay, so that's
Yep, yep. So 9 years ago.
9 years ago. That's
Nine
crazy.
years ago, yes, absolutely. And it was at a time where I'll tell you a funny story too. We were I was training at a facility called Fit Republic at the time.
hmm
And at the time, we was they had the Muhammad Ali in the background, as you know, the famous, when he knocked out who was that? Joe Frazier. If I'm not
hmm
mistaken, he had his hands up. We would stand in front of this mural every day and take pictures every time after every class. So it was almost like a calling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're gonna meet him. It was the way that I put everything into perspective of how it even happened. Because
Yeah.
for one, I'm a huge believer. A
hmm
huge believer. For two, I've chased greatness my entire life. I I told myself I was gonna be great at like 13, like probably younger than 13. And I envisioned myself playing basketball at the highest level.
hmm
I always played one on one with myself playing at Madison Square Garden. So it's me, wanting to be great, be in that moment, right? So and then I started boxing in 2010. And then once I started boxing, and then I was at Fit Republic, and I'm like, how ironic did everything come back to? And there's a whole other list of things that happened prior to that. But
Yeah.
we took this picture after every class, and then I meet him, and then I'm still here because the gym is still open. And before it closed, after he passed away, now the picture even stood for even more. You know what
Nice.
I mean? Like, wow, like this was the reason why we did this every day. So
Yeah.
accepting that call during a moment like that, man, I was completely honored and just like God is real. Yeah, yeah.
I love it. So there's a lot of performance coaches out there, a lot of trainers. The first half of my career, that's what I did until I transitioned into more of the transformation part and then later into the branding. But yeah, I served a full career. What's different about the way that you train and work with athletes and guys versus other people?
Good question. I like endurance. I like to test people. I like to test athletes' endurance,
Hmm.
and that and bringing that intensity every time they're trained. As you being an athlete, me being an athlete, it's hard to go that 100% every time, right?
Hmm.
But why? And so I have a saying that if you push that level of endurance to beyond its peak, or does endurance really have a peak? That's the question that we all have to ask ourselves. Does endurance really have a peak? It
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah.
So being able to tap into the unlimited peak. Oh, I'm sorry, not the unlimited peak, the unlimited endurance that there is out there. I try to coach athletes to believe that we can extend that level of endurance so that way we can extend that level of intensity
Hmm.
every time you train so that way we can extend the highest level of your performance.
Hmm.
So in that it's just a system. So there's nothing different than what any trainer, coach does. I call us DJs. We play the same music in a different way.
Hmm.
I might have a different era, then you have a different era. I might have a different transition than you have a different transition. I may
Sure.
have a different energy than you have a different energy. And so it's just different. But I want that endurance to be able to last for 24 quarters.
Mhm.
So therefore, in that fourth quarter, your body and mind is still in the first quarter.
Yeah. When I was up at the University of Utah, as a strength and conditioning coach, the main philosophy of their strength and conditioning was to be delivering blows of 7/8 the
Mm-hmm.
entire game. So he said
Mm-hmm.
that team might come out with nines and tens, but by the time they get to the fourth quarter, they're fives and sixes, and we're still maintaining that 7/8 blow. And that's how they trained. That was the main mindset behind everything that they did, which was the power endurance, to be more specific.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you know what's funny about that, Trav, is like that's what boxing is too. Boxing gives you that level. That boxing has taught me that mindset of what endurance really is, because it's just a different type of endurance that you have to go 12 rounds, be hit back, wrestle, move your feet, breathe for 3 minutes straight,
Hmm.
sit down for 1 minute to come back and do it again.
Hmm.
Woo!
Yep.
And still keep this in the game, because if you lose this, the focus, the
Yeah.
focus. So that's where that endurance comes in. And like you said, that endurance comes in late in the game. That means the focus is still there. While somebody else is blowing 3-4, you're blowing 7-8. Somebody like myself might not be as talented as the guy that's on that other side that's a 3-4, right?
Hmm.
Blowing a 3-4. I'm blowing 7-8. Matter of fact, 9-10. I'm blowing 9-10 because that's what I want
Hmm.
in that fourth quarter. Now I'm doing this past the guy that's blowing 3-4 on the other side, right?
Yep.
And so same for boxing. Most guys that don't have somebody, first of all, you got to have that Mamba mentality switch,
Hmm.
that mentality that really is like, I'm pushing past what's comfortable.
Yeah. Hmm.
And if I push past what's comfortable, then I can go ahead and reach that 7-8, that 9-10, where some coaches might not. I don't know all coaches. I just see athletes when I see them, and I test that endurance, and then that's when I'm like, okay, the endurance hasn't been tested. So I don't know coaches, and I don't know coaches' philosophies, but I know my philosophy is with the same thing you're saying: power,
Hmm.
endurance. We can't
Yeah.
quit.
Yeah. So you work with a lot of athletes, you work with a lot of top performers. What is it about their identity or their mindset that's just so much different than the average person in your view?
Man, it's their ability to want to be great. It's their ability to connect at a higher level within their purpose. And that's what I don't get a lot of athletes. It's funny because I only, man, I, glory to God on what I'm about to say. I've only connected with great athletes along my way, which is crazy. Like I've only had, like, say for instance, Tyson Chandler, one of the best big men in the NBA. I worked with, I had a chance to work with Debo Samuels, Devin Booker, um, and another great Eric Bledsoe before he went to when he was here in Phoenix before he got traded. Another great. So I've had a lot of great young athletes around my way, and all their mindset was the same. They wanted to be great. They wanted to be at the greatest level that they can get to perform at the highest level of their career, so that they can obviously perform high, and they want more money too.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people want to be great though. So like what's different in the way that they approach it? Because everyone wakes up and goes, I don't think anyone wakes up and go, I don't want to be great today. I want to be average. I'd be okay being mediocre. I'd be okay being above average, actually. Like everyone wakes up and says, I want to be great. So what's really different then about these athletes in your mind?
It's they come in ready. They made a decision. And some people that make the decision, some people that say that they want to be great, that don't make the decision to find somebody to push them to that greatness.
Mhm.
That's what they've done. They
Yeah.
found somebody that meet them at the level that they are, that can push them to that next level in their performance to elevate the greatness that they already have within them. And they come in more focused because they're on a mission.
Mhm.
And if you know your mission, then if you have the vision for your mission, or you know your mission, then it's easier to find the right person to help you get you past what's comfortable into that great status. And there's a lot of greats in this world, a lot. And I'm talking to one right in front of me, yourself. I've noticed you have pushed yourself to a level since I met you a few years ago, and I watch you. You just doing this because you made a decision, and you connecting with all the right people in the process, just as professional athletes connect with the right people in the process. We have pro athletes that want to be great, but they might not connect with the right people in their process.
Mhm.
And they never reach that level that they can reach. There's somebody that tell them the truth, somebody that pushes them to the level of the highest peak of endurance. Somebody that they can train with or work with that might have just as much or less endurance than they have, that they have to keep up with. And that's the difference, where people are guys that come in and find somebody like myself or yourself or Utah goes and finds them because they come, that Utah goes and recruits. But people that find me through this process, I feel that I was called to extend their endurance to be great and push them to another level. Because when they come to me, they might not know, but the feel that I have when I connect with other athletes, like great athletes like the Debo Samuels, the Devin Bookers, the Tyson Chandlers, they don't know what's inside of me, but they were called to me through Christ. And that's what our connection to take them to that next level. And then when they get to me, it's like, it makes sense.
Mhm.
And they all come in with a different mindset. And, one of them actually told me this. He felt what it was and said, I had to look myself in the mirror and tell myself I can do this.
Mhm.
Because it was, I mean, not to be, you know, toot my own horn, but it was just, they don't know what they're walking into when they connect with somebody like yourself, myself, who really cares about taking them to that next level of greatness within their performance. And then when they see it, it's like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this. And once we completed the task, and what's happened since then, it's been this the entire time. The entire time. I'm watching it. I'm watching it. And I don't want athletes aren't supposed to be with me for life. because I feel my calling is to connect with an athlete, motivate them through this process of endurance so they can feel, they can connect, and they can fly. And then I just continue my walk of what Christ has for me, working with all walks of life. And that's why, as a performance and life coach, it's not just athletes, you know.
Yeah, I love that. And as you're talking a little bit earlier about your vision and mission. And that's really what every brand should have. They should have their vision. Vision is why are you doing this? Mission is how
Right,
are you going to carry this out? Right.
right,
And I think a lot of people get lost in the process because they don't have a strong vision. And
right,
even if they do have a strong vision, your goal is to be around those people that see your vision as something smaller than what is actually possible. Because if
right,
you're around people that one don't see your vision or pulling you down or are just taking you at your word, you're not being around the right people. Because the right
right.
people are going to say, that's a small vision. Let's go do
Mm-hmm.
something bigger. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've seen, like those freak athletes, that freak mentality, the Mambas, the Tom Brady's, the Michael Jordans, like they never ever felt like they gave it their best, even
Right.
after
Never,
they gave it
never,
everything they possibly got. And
never,
that's just a level of reaching down
never.
to your soul that it's just in my opinion, that's a level of reaching down to your soul and pulling out something that not many other people can do. And
No.
what I love most about Tom Brady, other than the fact his last name's Brady, is he was just an average dude. He was actually picked last when he was playing with kids younger. They never threw the ball to him. They he shares a story about how his sisters were getting mad at the neighborhood boys because they never passed Tom Brady the ball. And then here this guy becomes the GOAT, like the GOAT of football, winning more Super Bowls than any organization.
Right,
I don't know if you
right,
know that. He's won
right.
more Super Bowls than any organization because he went and did it with a Buck.
Organization,
Yeah.
organization,
Yeah. Which is crazy.
and was picked last.
And it was picked 199th. And what I loved is he branded his pick, and that's what he calls his production company, the 199th Productions.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep, 199th Productions. And
So
so,
that legacy that sticks with him.
yeah.
That's his mission and that's his vision and that's his purpose and that drives him to produce.
Yeah.
I
But
like that.
anyways, going back to a little bit too is like there was a period of my time, there was a period of my life where I held this belief system like, yeah, I've already hired the coach, I've already hired the mentor, I've already learned the thing. And I kind of got to this place, whether it was conscious or unconscious of it, where I really didn't want to be held accountable. I was trying to
Mhm.
hold myself accountable. And what I can say is when it comes down to you, we have low integrity for ourselves. And what I
Yeah,
mean by that is when it comes to following through for yourself, by yourself, and only for you, you're going to give in, you're going to give out, you're going to give up. And so I feel like
right.
it's important to be around other people that hold you accountable to
Yeah,
that highest version of yourself. But also is that you're asking to be held accountable. And
yeah,
I think a lot of people they not only don't want to be held accountable, they don't ask to be held accountable.
yeah.
And I think that's what we do as coaches and leaders is we help those people hold themselves accountable to what they've already committed to. And,
Right.
and commitment is doing the thing you said you would do, even though the moment you said it in no longer exists.
Mm,
That's what dedication is.
like that.
Anyone can sit on the couch and scream at the boxing ring on TV or the court on the NBA and say, "Oh, that guy needs to hustle harder. That guy needs to work harder." Well, yeah, it's easy for you to say that shit when you're in a comfortable state, but leaders do it even though that comfortable state is no longer there. I think that's really is one of the separators with when I'm looking at people is like they're not about their feelings all the time. You know what I
No,
mean? And that's what you do is you push people past that feeling because there's no worse feeling, in my opinion, than an endurance feeling and your sides hurting and
right,
you're breathing hard and
right.
Yeah, there's nothing like that.
Right. There's nothing like it. Like, it's funny as I was telling my son, like having some like for instance, you were talking about having somebody to help get you there, right? And having my son here this weekend, we were doing something on the court, and I was like, I'm watching his explosiveness, right?
Mhm.
And I'm like, Kyrie, do you realize that you only need one dribble to get to this point and jump? And that do you realize that you can actually really jump and you can dunk easy? And he's like, no, I can't, because he didn't believe he could,
Yeah.
because he's never had somebody like, unfortunately, I'm dad, and
Mhm.
dad's a sports performance coach. So
Mhm.
I told him, I'm not telling you this as your dad, I'm telling you this as a coach.
Mhm.
And having a coach see this in him to help him believe that you're right there. If you just take one more step in your intensity, watch how high you're gonna be jumping just with one dribble. Watch how fast you can get to the rim in one dribble. And once he did it, right, this is funny. Now that he received what I said, he had jumped so high he didn't even know how to come down. He didn't realize that he thought that he was like, whoa, because no one's never made him or pushed him, should I say, to jump, to actually really try to jump and really get that highest level of peak out of his explosion. And when he did it, he just was shocked himself. And that's where having somebody like yourself and myself to help push people past that get them to that next level,
Yeah.
is to help them believe a lot of them. Because as youth athletes on the rise, not just pro athletes, that's what I learned. Some youth athletes aren't getting coached and pushed properly to bring out that next level into
Mhm.
their performance. And it's crazy. I learned it in my son, seeing how high of a performer of seeing the level that he really can be. And
Mhm.
I asked him, I said, has anybody ever told you this back at school in football or in
Yeah.
basketball? He was like, no. And I'm like, wow. So they'll just accept you being mediocre, but they see the level that you can reach. And if somebody just watches you become watch you don't take that next step, they're okay with you just being 70%,
Yeah.
80, you know what I mean? So like, go ahead.
Yeah. Here's what I've kind of had a change of mind about believing in yourself over the years. When I first got into all this, I was like, yeah, people really need to believe in themselves.
Hmm.
They wait too much for other people to believe in them before they believe in them.
Right.
And so then I held this belief like you need to believe in yourself. But then what I started to notice as time went on, when I started to hire mentors and I hired coaches and then also coaching and mentoring other people is most people, even though they can believe in themselves, they usually can't believe at the level that they're actually capable of believing in. And so my mind has really switched in this. And so my current belief is not only do you need to believe in yourself, you have to be around people that believe in you being and doing more. And I almost feel like we limit ourselves in some way. Like someone said this after Brand X. He said, "Dude, you're going to blow up. You're going to blow up." And when he said that, I kind of stuck back and I was like, that was never a belief in my head, even though I
Right.
believed in myself. And so just kind of coming back to what we've kind of talked about already is like, yeah, you need to believe in yourself, but you also need to be around people that have a bigger vision for you because you're going to limit
Yes.
yourself in your
Yes.
vision for yourself
Yes.
at some point in
Yes.
time. So you need to
Yes.
be around
Yes.
people that reinforce that. So
Yes. Including myself. I love the way you put that, including myself. And surrounding myself around other mentors now, and getting to this point, having other mentors help me elevate. It does like trigger another level, like, okay, I can go higher. Okay, I can go higher
yeah,
because I'm surrounded by now people who believe in me just as much as I believe in people.
yeah,
And you as a leader, you're an amazing leader, and like you get stuck somewhere because you're leading so many people to that next level, me leading so many people to believing that this next level. But I finally, honestly, Travis, and I finally, this just happened. And actually, to be honest with you, this happened after your event.
Mhm.
Be real with you. That's why it was so important for me to do Strength in Your World, is because I needed that for me. And I've now connected with so many people from that event to the next event I've done to now I believe in who I am.
I love
Cause I
that.
was for real. And that's real talk, bro. Like
Yeah.
I can't and it could like thanks to you, you know what I mean? To you it was that the next event that I did because of I did your event, someone saw me and invited me to another event, and now I'm got connected on such a man, so crazy with other people who believe in what I'm capable of being. So
Mhm.
I'm now understanding the power in my being and becoming, and it all that man, I can't even where thank you to that. You know, I'm gonna give you your flowers right here because you do have something so powerful to connect people to a level of excellence that they know that they're great, but by being around like your event, it's just going to accelerate them to the next phase to connect with other people who believe in them and be in the room with people to hear who they are, to like gravitate towards them, to now this person is helping them and then you're helping them. And so it's just like everybody's frequency is so high and ranting and raving about each other. Oh, we can do this, or you can do this, or you can do this. So you having that has definitely changed the the entire year this year. Strengthen your world beyond. And so,
That's
and
awesome.
it, like I said, for me, it just happened this year, for real. And I always knew this, but I was struggling with just having that circle of people around me who believes the same thing in themselves, and to see the talent in myself and me
Mhm.
even see the talent in them. So now you just like, bro, we can go higher. We can go higher. Man, the text thread, we can do this. Dave, hey Larry, come over to this event. I don't care what time you show up. You know what I'm saying? Dave, I can't make it. I'm over here. Okay, well, make sure I'll let you know that. Like, it's just a collective group that is now circulated just from
I love that,
Strength of
man.
Your World.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
yeah, for real.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, it's that event's on its ninth year, man. So we've put a lot of work into that, as far as everything goes. And it's the transformations that keep me going. You know what I mean? Um,
Hmm.
there was one event in particular, and I was like, oh man, I don't know if we should do it. Attendance is low. This was like 3 years ago. And
Hmm.
towards the end, we do this event, we do this exercise called the strength walk.
Hmm.
And at the very end, what people have told me is it's one of the most spiritual experiences they've ever been through. And there's these couple of guys that went through it, and they're just like releasing all this emotion that you could tell has been cooped up for a lot of years. And
Yeah, yeah.
just to hear some of the transformations, and right after the event, like I had to leave the room. um,
Wow.
I had to leave the room, and I went into the other room and I just started crying like so hard. The emotions coming up me right now as I'm as I'm telling this.
Yeah,
Um, but what I took from that is, and you're a man of faith, and it was like God going like, don't you cancel. Don't you cancel because it gets hard. Don't you cancel because you can't always see it. And I was like, you're right. Because I almost canceled that event. I almost put it together. So it's just like kind of coming back to the vision, like having a vision. What's the word vision? Like, what do you want to happen? What do you want it to be? And it just seems like the things when we get stuck in life and business, our vision changes. Our vision goes
hmm.
down, gets demeaned a little bit, probably because being
Hmm.
around people. Anyways, you talk a lot about God and stuff in your brand. Have you
Definitely.
always done that? What's your relationship been with God? Why do you talk to him about that? Like, are you afraid of what people might say? Like, oh, you're using God manipulatively. Sometimes that's the thing that crosses my mind is like, I don't want anyone to say like I'm using his name in vain. And that held me back for a lot of years until I finally got to this point. Like, that's that's for them to come up with on their own. I'm not going to let their thoughts hold me back. So I just wanted to get your mindset on all that.
Man, it's so thanks to my mom that introduced me to Christ when I was a kid, and it was just embedded as I was growing myself as a young man. And she connected me with when she introduced me to pastors who I could relate to at a young age. And as I kind of got to a point where I was alone and not by myself, I started looking at this pastor, and I've always carried myself with spiritual and gospel music and things like that. That was just something I love. I love gospel music in general,
Mhm.
and then I started connecting with this pastor via online, and more so, and then it's TD Jakes. And so my mom was like, "You gotta listen to this guy, you gotta listen to him." And he was at the time in his 40s or so. So this is 20 plus years ago.
Mhm.
And so he was a younger pastor, and then I could relate to him. And so as I, kept bumping my head, come bumping my head, I always kept God first though. And can I say I kept God first? I did, but it was I was not as strong in my faith as I am today.
Mhm.
And so when I moved to Arizona, I mean that was in Nebraska, I kind of got stronger in my faith, stronger in my faith, stronger in my faith. Moved to Arizona, I found a church home here. I found a church home in Nebraska before I left. When I got here, I found a church home for myself, Pilgrim Rest. And that's when I really, really, really started like accepting Christ as my Lord and Savior. Then I found Impact, and then so I started going to Impact with Pastor Travis, and um, and so like my faith started growing. Actually, Impact helped me learn more about Christ. I used to go to two church services a weekend. Actually, I still do. So I've been growing my faith, and so then I started just not. I'm like, I'm called to maybe be pastor one day, and then I was like, you know what? You're pastoring your own world.
Mhm.
So, this is your calling.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm not afraid to let people know that this is who I am.
Yeah. I think this is what I believe. I believe that as followers of God, Christ, or whatever you believe, I think it's in all of us to be
Hmm.
that preacher in our lives and business in some way or a
Hmm.
fashion. And I refer to myself as the bridge a lot. I really help bridge people into that. And I really do feel like at the end of the day, I am a bridge to God.
Yeah.
And so that is part of my mission in my brand. I don't really say that a lot because I don't
Yeah.
want it to be like that, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
deep down inside,
Yeah.
it is absolutely there.
And it's funny as you said that. I don't tell people like this is the reason. They feel when they come in this presence of myself. And then once they find out and they hear like, oh my, it all makes sense.
Yeah.
This is, I'm not going to bore you. I'm not going to like destroy my relationship with you because I speak Christ, 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 Christ. No, I'm gonna
Yeah.
build a foundation with you. As you get to know who I am, you get to know the Christ inside of me, and then it all makes sense without me even mentioning anything to you about Christ. And then it's like, and I make sure I surround myself with that peace of Christ so that when people come in, they feel that presence. And I tell you one thing, this is so true about my space is when people come in that's not connected to whatever it is themselves and the energy and the spirit that's fulfilled this space of mine, they feel it and they can't stay around it. They have to leave it and they don't know why. They're like, why is something about this space that I'm trying to destroy it or I have to get away from it. It's the energy of Christ that's inside that I'll never, it's the presence of Christ that's inside and the spirit that surrounds this space that I'm in and protects it from all bad energy coming in. And people that's open to receive, even if they're in a bad place in their lives, they come in and receive and realize that they've been uplifted in this space, but not realizing it's the Christ in me that's uplifting them. But
Mhm.
without me ever saying a word about Christ, I'll post a lot about God here and there, but I don't I don't drown people with Christ, 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 Christ. Because, we live in a world where, and I'm not even afraid of it, but I'm not gonna, I'm not going to get people like, I'm a preacher and put that stigma on me as
Mhm.
they do preachers that I hate because preachers are real people.
Yeah.
They think
It,
just because they have the title preacher, they put this title on them and they're like, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do no, that's a real person. He might go listen to rap music when he gets done preaching. It's okay. And that's it's, why why is he doing it's okay. So that's why I don't kind of like
yeah. No, I get it. There's a higher level of expectation of perfection that
yes,
is placed upon preachers more than any other type of person, in my opinion.
100%.
And you kind of have to understand that if you're going to go preach truthfully, and you have
Absolutely.
to, you have to have a squeakier thing. You have to have a squeaker thing clean, but you could say that about any type of like thing. Like, are you going to work with me if I put out bad like videos and graphics and stuff? No. Are you going to work
That's
with Larry if he's fat and out of shape, he can't run, right? Like everyone has a brand they have to live up to according
yep.
to whatever it is that they choose, but yeah, absolutely. Well, dude, the times went by fast on here. I think we're already past 45 minutes into this.
Jeez, I didn't even realize
How
that.
can people follow you? How can people follow your journey?
They can follow my energy and motivation at Larry Smith Fitness on Instagram, on YouTube. It's Larry Smith Fitness as well, and on Facebook, my Larry Smith Fitness. So also on TikTok, Larry Smith Fitness. So TikTok, Instagram, um, Facebook, and X. I think I have X as well as
Yeah,
LinkedIn, Larry
cool.
Smith Fitness. So I'm all one brand, all one name. And like I say, I promote energy and motivation. The push-ups and the squats, they come from a different person. So, but no, it's been great, man.
Cool. I love it, man. We need to hit the gym one of these days for sure.
Definitely, I would love to, Travis. This
But
has
here's
been
the
phenomenal.
thing. Here's the thing. I don't do the endurance quite like I used to. So,
Hey, I like real steel too. I like a burst of steel, I like a burst of steel. Hey, and that so quick. That is so like with athletes, with the
yeah,
endurance, you can get as strong as you want, as strong as you want. And with endurance, you can go as long as you can. So I still gonna go. I still got some strength in me. All right,
nice.
I might pull it for 5 reps.
Yeah. When I'm younger, it's bigger, faster, stronger, right? And then it's just looking good for the girls and looking big. And then as you get older, you're like, man, I just want to wake up and not have a bum knee or a bum shoulder. So it's more
Absolutely,
about just feeling good. Feeling
absolutely.
feeling good first, feeling good about myself, and then secondly, looking good. And then, when I'm getting older, it's gonna be to not die will be the main function.
That's it, man. Hey, that you know what? And how old are you, Travis?
38.
38. Okay. Well, I'm gonna be the big 4 or 5 this year.
Nice.
So that's which is crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, so trying to keep my body moving and feeling good like it is right now. And that's the main key.
Yeah.
And I still love to play basketball.
Love it.
Yep.
Love it.
All right, man.
Okay, thanks for joining us. Hey, if you feel like this podcast can benefit someone, okay, tap the three dots, copy the link, send over the message. Okay, that's all I ask for listening to the podcast is just spreading this to someone that can benefit by hearing these guests, such as Larry. Hey, appreciate you having on the podcast today, man. Be inspired in what you're doing. Okay, you have a story, share your brand X factor, and we'll talk again soon. Good talk.
Cheers. Thank you.
Hey, you know you have a story to share with the world, which means you need to get on more life stages. We have a jam-packed schedule in 2024 full of events, including our biggest event year to date, Brand X. Go to benextgen.com/speak. Again, benextgen.com/speak. Or you could just click the link in the description. Fill out an application, our team will reach out to you and show you how our speaker partnership works. Get on a stage, get video, blow up your brand, blow up your business. Let's go.